Hello, and welcome back to In Between Sessions, the podcast where we explore what you can do between therapy appointments to support your mental health. I'm your host, Lili, and I'm a licensed professional counselor in Kansas City. If you're new here, this show exists because therapy is 1 hour a week, and there are 167 other hours where real life is happening. This podcast is all about making the most of that time. Today's guests are 3 of the women behind Casey Walk Club, Meghan, Maggie, and Jaimee. Casey Walk Club is a free, women-focused walking group that's been bringing Kansas City women together since 2022. Every Saturday morning, rain or shine, or honestly, snow or ice, they show up, walk a new neighborhood, hit up a local coffee shop, and do something that sounds simple but is actually kind of radical. They make it easy for adult women to connect and make friends. In today's episode, we talk about walking as a mental health tool, why adult friendships are so hard to build and what actually helps, the concept of third spaces and why we're all desperately missing them, and why having something small to look forward to each week might matter more than you think. I loved this conversation, and I think you will too. If you're a regular listener, you've probably heard me talk about how much I love walking for my mental health, so I was so excited to hear from these ladies. So without further ado, let's hear from Meghan, Maggie, and Jaimee from Casey Walk Club. Hi, Casey Walk Club. What have you been doing in between sessions?
We've been walking.
Living up to your name.
We do what we can. Yeah, we're walking girls.
Yes. Tell me a little bit about, I'd love to hear from each of you about how walking started for you as an act of self-care.
Maggie, do you want to go first? Since I feel like you're one of like the OGs.
I was going to say I can go first. Yeah, so our group actually started back in 2022, I believe. Started very, very small. And so it was just a group of us, probably like less than 5 original members. And I think it was really just founded on the idea that we really wanted some kind of like female community in Kansas City. And so there's always like a bunch of different not walk clubs necessarily, but groups in a city. But I think what was unique about ours was like just like seeking out genuine friendship, but then also doing something that is low cost, walking. And then, you know, in addition to that, we really love the aspect of supporting local businesses, local coffee shops. And so that's kind of a way to give back to our community is seeking out those partnerships and then just also fostering local friendships. So, but yeah.
That's amazing. I love how many kind of like value systems come together there, that it's self-care, it's connection, it's community, it's accessible, supporting local, like what an amazing cross-section of values.
And so I'd say like when I moved to Kansas City, I definitely wanted to find some friends, which was like a great way just to meet people, like Meghan said, low cost. And like we all make a joke that none of us are runners. Like we're not going to join any run groups. We're just strictly walking. And so we love to, we go to all north, south, east, west of the city, which is always fun. So sometimes we pick up new people along the way. We see new coffee shops. So it doesn't get too routine, but it's a great way just to meet new people and see who is in your community. And I feel like a lot of us women, we're either kind of done with school and don't know where to find that third space or, moved out and moved back or new to the city. And so it's been a really great spot for everyone to kind of have that third space just to meet some people. A lot of us aren't even bar goers either. And so I find like it's a great way that's no alcohol, if you wanted, sure, get that espresso martini in the morning, no judgment here.
Sure.
But that way, we have something unique and fun to do and we're great chatters. So why not get a little walk and talk in?
Yeah. For anyone, I think third spaces have come up in another episode, but for anyone listening who doesn't know what third spaces are, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So for what I know, that like a third space is used to have like work and you'd have school and you have home. And right now you kind of only have like work and home. And I don't know about you, but I work from home. So it's like you got the one space, and so there's not as many places to go out and meet people. If anyone else has been on the dating apps these days and out at the bar, like nobody goes up and talks to people these days. So it's a great spot for people to actually like, we're here and we're going to meet and we're going to talk. And like, that's our MO. And if you're not a morning person, just like don't stand by me. That's kind of my thing. I'll chat your ear off.
That's such a great point about working from home, that for a lot of people, like they don't even have a second space of like work and home, that it all becomes this kind of one space. And yeah, whenever I think of third spaces, I always think of Central Perk on Friends, like, you know, that very like Cheers vibe, like where everybody knows your name, where it's another place where you can connect with people that isn't your home life, isn't focused on work. Like it's really a space focused on connection. And it sounds like you all have definitely created that with Casey Walk Club. Jaimee, I'd love to hear a little bit about your relationship with walking and how you got involved in Casey Walk Club.
I started it, I think I was there, like 2 years ago, I joined Casey Walk Club, and I was just kind of looking around, just got married, and then I was like, well, I want to find like my girl gang. I'm like, I have my husband, so I need to find a girl gang. So I was just surfing on the Facebook and all that stuff, and I found Casey Walk Club, and I was like, oh, this is cool. So I joined, and I was already doing active activities, going to the gym and stuff like that, but I wanted to do more cardio because, you know, gym, you just lift and do that stuff. So I was like, cardio and coffee. I love coffee shop adventures and just exploring different coffee shops and different local coffee shops, especially. And we get to see cool places in the city. I've discovered coffee shops that I didn't even know existed. And I feel like you also walk in areas that you have like you wouldn't think it was one of the best walks, because I feel like one of my favorite walks personally was through Strawberry Hill. And I'm like, I still remember that. And I was like 4 or 5 months going into Walk Club. And I'm like, I would never have thought that Strawberry Hill was like my favorite walk. And I'm like, it was cool.
Yeah, that's so awesome to get to explore different parts of the city. And yeah, I mean, I love a double dip. Like if we can meet our fitness goals and our connection goals and have our cup of coffee and explore the city you live in. And especially what you were saying, Maggie, about, you know, moving to a new city. Frequent listeners will know that I moved here a few years ago myself, and to have the opportunity to explore a new city. I mean, that was exactly what I did when I moved to Kansas City, but I did it with my husband. I was going to say by myself, but that's really hurtful to my husband. I just meant without a community like you guys have. My husband and I did little coffee walks to we were living in Westport, so we mostly walked around Westport. But it's such a great way to connect with and explore a city, is to walk around in new neighborhoods and see kind of the culture of the coffee shops.
We had a really cool encounter on Saturday where we had a group of like probably, I don't even know, 20 to 25 girls, and we all walked in, and there was this girl just sitting there by herself, and she saw us, and we actually wore our name tags this time. We're starting to do that. And she was like, what is this? And so somebody was like, oh, it's Casey Walk Club. She's like, what? And so we're just like sitting there promoting it. She literally just moved to Kansas City, and she ended up following the cage like immediately. And I think she's going to come in the next couple of weeks. And I thought that was really cool that they just see us and like, whoa.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've been going to all different parts of the town, which has been nice because it drags you out from like where you typically go. But we are always small and mighty. And then, yeah, Jaimee took over some of our social media and has really been like growing it, which has been, I mean, like the coffee shops love it, but they're also like, my God, there's 25 women in here now. Yeah. But it's been, you know, great because every time there's always someone new, and there's like every kind of person in this group. I mean, we have young, old, kids, no kids. We have people who work at a couple of people who work at different theaters, people who work in the hospital, entrepreneurs, you know, all these different people. And so it's like, every time you're like, maybe, I don't know if this is my person, great. Next time, stand us up next to somebody else, because there's always somebody new in this community that you're bound to hit it off with somebody.
Absolutely. And, you know, what you've said about how hard it is to make friendships make new friends as an adult is so true. And it's definitely something I hear amongst a lot of my clients is like, I want to meet new people. I want to make new friends, but like, how do you go about doing that? And it feels kind of like inorganic, or there are like networking things, but sometimes they're really expensive. And so there can just be so many barriers on top of just like the vulnerability of it's hard to put yourself out there and meet new friends. And so I love that you're offering that. And I'm curious what sort of led the decision to have this be like a women's group.
I feel like, so one of the OG girls that started our group, so she's pretty busy on weekends, but I think it was really her brainchild. And so we kind of just honored that. And so I think going off of that main idea, just creating like a safe space for women, you know, and it's really not to be exclusive of anyone else. It's really just to make sure that the people that are coming feel safe and welcome, because everyone has different dynamics, different backgrounds, sometimes trauma. And so I think really sticking to that has been empowering and just going forward, helpful and growing those relationships, and people start recognizing each other at the group. And I can say, since being in it since 2022, I have met honestly some of my best friends. I have, at least 10 plus people I could count on from this group in general. Just, I text regularly and, we go hang out, get other coffee or dinner. And we've started incorporating recently just different events. Jaimee's come up with some really cool ideas for like little micro groups that we'll probably start incorporating. And so it's just kind of tapping into like the social aspect of it like as well. So not just the walking part, which is great in general to get steps in, but it's really, encompassing this whole other side where people can find their niche, find what they really enjoy and grow into that from this group.
It sounds amazing and so intentional. And I mean, I was kind of thinking that I know that there is a certain amount of, like safety concerns and vulnerability for, a woman going out by herself, going on a walk or going on a run. And so, I think prioritizing that felt safety of like, we're in a group together, there's power in numbers, and like we are all of the demographic of people who might feel unsafe, and so like we're banding together to create that safety. And I imagine as well, it creates a sense of intention of like what this group is and what it is not. I think that there could be the potential of, if you were to open it up, that, it becomes a way that people like seek out potential romantic partners and things. And obviously that could happen with how it is now, but to, again, like set that intention of like this, there are lots of spaces for that. And that's not what this space is for.
I think that's something else that's been great about the space is like, I don't want to speak for you, Meghan or Jaimee, but like we've all been somewhere where like we haven't felt like the most welcome, like with men or just with other women. Like sometimes women can be cliquey or whatever. And so I feel like we all very much go out of our way to be like, that's a new face. At least it's a new face to me. Like, let me go talk to them. Let me make sure I say hello. Let me make sure I answer any other questions they have. I mean, people will ask us like a lot of questions before they join us. And, I'm like, it's a really low barrier to entry. Just show up at 9 a.m. on Saturday and we're going to walk and we're going to get coffee. Like there's no more to it. There's no RSVP. Like that's just about it.
Stick the name tag.
Yeah.
Name tag.
Yeah. Put on your name tag. We won't test you later. But I think we're all so intentional of being like, I know it took a lot for you to come out here. So let me make sure you feel welcomed. And that's something I felt through the whole community, which I really love. There's not that click. It's like, let me make sure you feel like you're pulled into the conversation, that you're not walking alone, that you have any questions answered, which is really awesome. And honestly, sometimes hard to come by these days, which is sad, but it's what we're all looking for. And so if you do have those listeners who are anxious about coming, like, just show up and I know someone will pull you in. Like, I trust these girls. They will do that. Like, no one will be left behind. We're making sure everyone who said they're going to be here, we're waiting for them to come, so it's really inclusive in that way, which I think is hard to find in some places.
Absolutely, especially with such a low barrier to entry, So it sounds like this is like a free experience other than like if you buy your coffee, I guess.
If you want to give us money, we'll take it. That's not a requirement.
Well, I am curious about that. So like for all of you who are kind of on the, I guess, like leadership side of this and, the organization and making this happen, what kind of inspired you to kind of take that step from participant to being more in leadership and, knowing that this is an unpaid opportunity, what role does this fill for you being part of this?
I feel like, I really wanted to deepen my friendships with women in the community, number one, and also make other friends. And so, yes, I don't get paid for any of this. Neither does Jaimee or Maggie. None of us do. But I think, probably speaking for all of us, we get deep enjoyment out of it. Seeing people that come back is huge. And then also just like, I leave walk club, I wrote down notes and I wrote down energized because this past Saturday, I had conversations with people that I normally wouldn't have met, and maybe just day-to-day interactions and just getting to talk to different people in different backgrounds, different settings, hearing their perspectives on things, what they did for their weekend or whatever. I just feel like it really builds a genuine community of people.
And I think that's what I love most is just the genuine connections from girls that I've met, I continue to meet. And then also just, knowing that we're helping the community, going to a coffee shop that is local, even though, yes, you see the whites of the barista's eyes when you walk in. They're like, wow, there's like 30 girls now in here. But Jaimee does a really good job telling people, hey, we're coming. Often they're really excited. We'll have coffee shops that even reach out to us at this point, because they want the business and publicity, which is great.
Yeah.
But it's really, really just about forming genuine connections that really gives to my soul. And I'm a girl's girl. I love, these two know, I love hosting. I love gathering people. I was like,
she's the queen of a thematic party. Like, go to Meghan.
I love hosting. My boyfriend also loves hosting. So we're a match made of heaven. But just gathering people in general is a love language for me. And just getting a separate club for that purpose and allowing other people to make connections has been really fulfilling. So
I love that. Jaimee, how about for you?
I just love, because I feel like in school you could join your clubs for free, right? And you always had that opportunity to be able to join something for free. And then you get into adulthood and there's so many clubs you have to pay a membership fee, or there's members only events. And you're like, I don't want to go to that because I don't know the type of people that will be there. This, you can dip your toes in and love it. And then I get fulfillment and just women supporting women and creating a community like Meghan said, and just having people around you. And it's just super exciting. And I feel like if I see you twice, I will remember your name. So I'm if I see you again, it's going to be really exciting for me because I'm oh, I didn't remember this name for nothing. So it's fun. And I just love bringing people together. I feel like I've always brought people together and it's just fun. And this group definitely going on the hosting, I feel like all my life, I just kind of went to people's houses and then I joined Walk Club. And I feel like I've been to so many different themed parties from different people that I'm just wow, we got to step up our game if I'm going to host. I'm just all right.
Jaimee's not giving herself enough points here. That she did something for Harry Potter and she made house themed macaroons that she made homemade. So don't have her not act like she's not in that category. Yeah, no, both of these women are to the nines, has a photographer, has a backdrop, photos. I've never seen this in my lives.
hey, I've become,
But I think, and I don't want to speak for you, Jaimee, but I feel like you've been our queen of social media recently. And it's kind of been a nice outlet, I feel like you have such a creative side that you're well, instead of me taking reels of my cats all the time, which we love, let me just take them of our walk group, and it's just, and so it's not always feeling like a job but we try to team up together to help make it easier. At the end of the day, it's picking 4 coffee shops, right? And having somebody show up and saying I'll try to lead us back to the same location. But stepping up and doing some of these different things, I think it's all just out of a labor of love. And we just kind of step in where our sweet spots are, whether that's hosting parties, doing socials, just being chatty, whatever that is.
Yeah, that's amazing. And with so much of what you all have been talking about, I keep thinking about this idea of seeking out novelty, seeking out, I think another way, I don't know that they're necessarily interchangeable, but also another way that I've seen it talked about is the experience of awe. And I love the idea of not only seeking that with a lavish trip or something where there's such a high bar, but that going to a new neighborhood or an old neighborhood of your town or your city and going to a coffee shop that maybe you've never been to before and meeting people that you might not have crossed paths with otherwise, that is all novelty. That is all an opportunity to experience awe. And I see just so much benefit in that. You mentioned that, Meghan, you were saying that you are very into hosting, and Maggie was kind of calling Jaimee out for her hosting skills that she was underplaying. And I'm curious, for someone like me, I'm relatively introverted. I'm a therapist. I talk to one person at a time most of the time, and that feels good to me. But I'm curious. So it's sort of, to me, hosting feels really overwhelming and maybe not something that I would put myself out there to do. And so I selfishly am feeling curious about how you think about hosting and what it is about it that fills your cup.
I'm an only child. I come from a one-parent background. I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. So I am technically a transplant to Kansas City. I went to Rockhurst for college. I was in a sorority, and it was a new world for me having so many female friendships all at once.
Yeah.
And it's really something that I have craved my entire life, because growing up, I always, I wanted a bigger family. I wanted to be around people. And so, similar to a sorority, walk club is female based. People will be your biggest cheerleaders. I know I was going through like a job transition, a year and a half ago. Seems like forever ago, but I was an elementary school teacher, and I really thought long and hard about whether or not leaving the profession was right for me at the time. And so every weekend when we met from walk club at 9 a.m., I think ad nauseum, I was telling people, I'm not sure. I like my summers, going back and forth. Mm-hmm. And everyone, was really cheering me on and just saying like, you do the best for you. And so that really was my push to transition into that. So it kind of ties into hosting in the way that I just love being around people. I am an extrovert and I enjoy talking to people, but I get a lot out of that. I get, the support that I'm looking for, the connection that I sought out, growing up that I didn't always have because I had a working parent. And so I really just always wanted to be around people that cared for me. And so I think at the end of the day, a lot of people are just looking for people that care about them. And we do live in, a society now where, like Maggie said, it's hard to meet people out in the wild. You go to Target or you're walking around the grocery store and everyone is just living their own life. And at the end of the day, though, people just really want that connection. They really want to feel loved, to be seen, to have things in common with other people. And so I think KC Walk Club as a whole is a great avenue for that, just because so many people have so many things in common and you wouldn't even know it. You're walking next to people going through day-to-day life and people are too afraid to speak to each other. And that's really sad. And I get scared too, sometimes I don't want to run into so-and-so at the grocery store right now, like I'll dip into an aisle, but even the extrovert has her moments where she's like, no, but in general, most people want some kind of connection, whether you're more introverted or not. And so I think it welcomes a space of people that are more quiet or people that are louder to meet halfway in the middle. And so I don't know. I love it. I think it's a great community that we've built. So
yeah. And I think so much of what you're talking about is this like felt sense of everyone here has opted in. Like we are all agreeing that we're here seeking connection. And that just makes it easier to initiate that connection with someone else versus being out at a bar. And it's like, I think there's a really cool shift happening right now where people aren't really drinking as much. I think, I know like a lot of my Gen Z clients are like really not super interested in drinking. And I think that's kind of reflected back to me, at least, like how much of socializing in our culture has been centered around alcohol and this sort of like collective agreement that that's our social lubricant. And like, how could you possibly socialize without it? And that it would be way too awkward. And so it's really cool to hear about a space that, again, I think like Maggie said, like you could get alcohol, you could get an espresso martini and like live your best, but it's not about that. And that we're kind of removing that assumption that you need that as a social lubricant.
Yeah, I would definitely agree on that.
Yeah. And I'm curious to hear from each of you what you feel like are some of the main ways that being involved in KC Walk Club supports your mental health.
I feel like it's more like you have something to look forward to every weekend instead of just like, you just kind of are like, oh, what am I doing this weekend? But now I'm like, oh, 9 a.m. Saturday, I'm always going to be getting coffee. I'm always going to be around a bunch of good, amazing girls. And like, I just love that you have that to look forward to. And I just know like, okay, Sunday morning, the week's about to start. I was like, okay, I can make it to Saturday and then I can have like a girls outing. And I feel like it's good to have something to look forward to, even if it is just a walk and coffee with a bunch of girls. And that's exciting for me, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree of just being able to have that date on your calendar where you're going to get out. Like I said, work from home, live at home, it gets a little monotonous. You go to the gym, but there's only so much there. And so it's great just to have that, thing that you can go to that, women will be there. I'll get out. I'll talk to people. I'll socialize. I'll get in some steps, all those good things. And then it's always great just to have like our community. If you need anything like throughout the week, throughout the month to turn to, sometimes it's just like, hey, I'm, we're going to go do this thing. Does anyone want to just tag along, just so you can have that community, wherever it is throughout the month, which is always great. Just having, always having those people in your back pocket. I mean, honestly, I don't know my neighbors. Like, it's kind of weird, but it's not like like when you're a kid where it's like, I'm just going to go ask my friend who lives next door. It's kind of like, I'm going to go ask my girls in the group and everyone's quote unquote next door. It's really kind of how I see the community.
I love that.
I think exercise, I wrote down, walking is arguably one of the best ways to support mental health. And I truly believe that. Before our friend Kelsey started Walk Club originally back in 2022, I was going to potentially start my own walk club, ironically. And I started walking in the West Bottoms because it's really flat.
Yeah.
I would go down there and walk like 3 to 4 miles as a teacher in the summer. And I was also working on like weight loss at the same time. So I just really enjoyed like getting to clear my head. And then I would treat myself to a blip coffee after. But I just think any kind of movement is really good for your brain. I think, you know, with the winter and being so sedentary inside, even getting out on like the weekends, like Jaimee said, like getting, you know, that routine of like, oh, I get to go and like get a coffee and I get to go interact with people. Like it's such a good thing for people to have that even basic interaction for like an hour or two each weekend, because, you know, not everyone's busy every single weekend, and it's good to like look forward to something. But yeah, your body is really connected with your brain, and just having movement, being outside, fresh air, it does affect people. So speaking, you know, seasonal depression, it's hard, but as the warmer months are coming, it's exciting. And we've even walked in like 17-degree weather, unfortunately.
I think he had one that was like 5 degrees recently too.
But we had like 20 girls there. And that's what I was going to tack on to Meghan, is like, that's not stopping us. The weather's not stopping us. And that's part of like your mental health, is like, even if it's 10 degrees, we're not going miles. We literally went 4 blocks.
Like, we're Midwest gals. We'll stick it out for like at least.
We all wear long coats. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got some coffee, but it's like the 4 blocks helps when it's 10 degrees out.
Yeah. We had the snow walk too, where we're just walking through the snow on the sidewalk, and I'm like, well, we're doing it.
Yeah. Through construction zones, mud, ice to the river market.
Wow.
It's off-roading, so be prepared. It's not raising this path.
You can try to plan it, and sometimes you don't realize that, oh yeah, that whole sidewalk is completely shut down, so we're going to have to figure out plan B. So, but no one seems bothered. It's just part of it. It's fun.
We haven't lost a girl yet.
No.
I think we're doing pretty good.
That feels like a win in all of that chaos. But because I was going to ask you like how you keep it up in the winter. But I mean, honestly, people are going to think I paid you all to say this, because I am a big like morning walk girly. I absolutely love it. It is so supportive of my mental health personally. And people will be like, but in this weather, you go on morning walks? And I'm like, it takes kind of a lot for me to not do it. Like if the snow feels like obviously like dangerous for like a slip hazard, or if it's like truly, you know, like negative degrees out, then I probably won't. But a lot of the time, especially with a cup of coffee, like it warms you up. Like, you know, you're moving, you're chatting, you're living. That's awesome that y'all still do it. And I think that, I mean, so yes, obviously, Meghan, I agree. I think walking is one of the most underrated things that we can do for our mental health. I think I work with a lot of clients with disordered eating and body image issues. And I think that there is just such a diet and wellness culture message around like what movement like counts. And so that like walking or yoga is like rest day movement, or, you know, that if you don't hit a certain step count, that it doesn't count, or, you know, all of these kind of like barriers and limits to what counts as exercise. And, you know, I think focusing on just the sensation of moving your body and enjoying it, and also getting other benefits like being outside and seeing the trees and talking to people, like there's so much that you're getting out of that, you know, it doesn't matter how much you sweat. It doesn't matter the step count on your Apple Watch or whatever, that you're just getting so much from it.
Quick story time about how extroverted Meghan is. When she brings on new people, she had no idea what I'm going with. When she brings on new people, I'll be like, oh, where'd you meet? And Meghan is an Orange Theory guru. She's always at Orange Theory. She goes, oh, I met them at my Orange Theory class. Oh, I met them at my Orange Theory class. And she's bringing all these people from Orange Theory. And I'm just like, go you for A, she'll do it before I walk. And I'm always like, God bless. But B, she's bringing in all these people. So whatever time she's like, I'm ducking down the aisle, that must be a bad day. Because she is bringing in people from a workout class for our walk group. And was like, look at this girl go. Like, I would not be like talking to people in my workout class, but there Meghan is like bringing in these girls who are fabulous, you know. It's always a fun time just to see like where somebody met somebody else and how they're bringing them in. But yeah, Meghan's bringing them from Orange Theory, and we love it.
Well, I think it's cool I think it's cool that Megan and I actually have a mutual friend, and we didn't know that when I first joined WAP Club, and like we're like, wait, you know this person? And I just thought that was kind of fun that it's such a small world that we actually have a mutual friend.
That's amazing. Yeah, Megan, you really are an extrovert. That's next level.
Yeah, she knows everyone.
I just, all I have to say is if I can make someone feel welcome, that's the goal.
It's a great goal.
And there's the group.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's how you build a group. And I think Jaimee and Maggie, you both touched on this. Having something to look forward to, I think, is one of the most underrated. And that it doesn't have to be, again, it doesn't have to be a vacation. I think that's where our brains sort of automatically go. Like, I need a vacation to look forward to. I need, this big purchase, this big thing. And that it can actually be really small, like looking forward to a walk club like this, or getting a cup of coffee with a friend, or for me personally, going to a family tree nursery in Overland Park, which has a coffee shop. Like, that's...
Oh, we know.
It's going to be added in April, so
something to look forward to. So yeah, it doesn't have to be these like enormous things. Like, just having something small to look forward to is not only a joy sparker, but also, I think accountability gets kind of like a mixed bag. Like, people have mixed feelings about like that word, but you're so much more likely to actually like get out of your house and do something, especially on kind of a gross day when there are people like expecting you there. And so I think that piece of it feels really important too.
There are just such those relationships where it's like, we'll message each other and be like, I haven't seen you in 3 weeks. Not like you have to show up every week, but like, how are you? Where have you been? And then you're like, that's awesome that they're, they're looking for me, that they want me to be there. It's not an accountability of like strict boss way, but it's like, your girls are looking for you. Like, how are you? How's your daughter? How was your move? I mean, it's always checking in on everything. That's women, right? We're just chit chatters.
Yeah. And genuinely like caring about one another, which is great and huge and very supportive to mental health.
I feel like what Maggie said, it feels good to be wanted. People want to feel like they can have people that text them or check in on them. And again, in this society today, that is something that I feel overall is lacking, but I feel like we're starting to get better at it. I think there's been a push just recently from like what I've seen on social media of like people wanting to kind of unplug maybe from a lot of like, online doom scrolling, but also wanting that in-person connection. And so I think it's starting to be this like renaissance of, a new wave of people recognizing, oh yeah, we do need these connections. We do need socialization in some aspect. Maybe it doesn't have to be directly through our phones, but yeah.
I'm curious if someone's listening to this and thinking like, oh, this sounds like fun, but I don't know, kind of makes me a little nervous. What would you want them to know?
I think there are so many different people that come to Walk Club. You don't have to be an extrovert. You don't have to talk to 10 people while you're there. You can just show up and kind of feel it out. And then if you feel like it was a good fit for you, then hopefully you come back. I think that everyone is so different. Like Maggie said too, like there are so many different age ranges, backgrounds. People bring their kids, people don't. Like so many different kinds of people. And so you're bound to hopefully meet somebody eventually that you can feel like you've made a new friend. And it doesn't have to be instantaneous, So just being around people and just feeling it out. Sometimes it's not for people. That's okay. But I feel like more often than not, people walk away feeling happier. They got their steps in. Hopefully they grabbed some kind of beverage or treat and that sparks some kind of joy in their day.
Yeah, I would say just come, try it out. Wear what makes you feel good. We don't dress up. You don't have to do makeup. You don't have to do anything. Just, wear what makes you feel good, what makes you warm, and just come try it out. And, don't put too much pressure on like, I didn't find my BFFs the first time I went.
Yeah.
I recently read, one of those Mel Robbins books, and one stat that stood out to me, which I might butcher, was like, it takes 50 hours to make a friend, which when you're in kindergarten and spend 8 hours a day with everybody, by the end of the week, of course you have a friend. And so this is 90 minutes a week. So give it a shot, and don't make so much pressure of like, I didn't find my forever best friend in this group. I talked to some really good quality women. I got out, I walked, I got coffee, I put on pants. Like that's a success, And so I wouldn't just put on so much pressure because I think we do that to ourselves a lot. So just give it a shot, Only a couple of us fight.
Because I feel like they touched it so well that I'm like, because I was going to say just come, because I feel like we're looking for you. If you say yes on RSVPs, we're looking for you. And like, we see your name, we'll see that you're coming, and like, we'll wait for you. We're not going to leave you behind. If you don't think you're fast enough to keep up with us, we check behind us. We make sure that everybody's in our little group. We're not leaving anybody behind. So like, we'll go the pace that you want to go. We had a pregnant woman that we just go her pace. She was 9 months pregnant and she was walking with us, and we made sure to go her pace instead of walking as fast as we possibly can. So we'll go whatever pace you are comfortable with, and you don't have to be overwhelmed. You don't have to be nervous. We're there. We know you're coming, and you're welcome with us. So.
I love that. That's great. I feel like you addressed so many like fears or anxieties that people could have of like, getting left behind. What if I'm not fast enough? What if they forget about me? So I'm so glad that you shared that. Bonus question. I really want to know each of your favorite local coffee shops from your walk.
I love Oddly Correct and Head Rush. Oddly Correct also has this gluten-free cheese curd sandwich that is like 2 gluten-free pancakes with cheese curds, and I think a sausage or something inside of it, and it is just top notch. Like, I am obsessed with it. I think about that daily. I'm like, I can't wait for us to go back because I'm gonna get it.
That sounds so good.
Also double down on Oddly Correct. The thing is they have really small inside, so we only go when it's nice outside.
Yeah.
And so like all winter, all of us are like, is it Oddly Correct? Is it time? Honestly, they're really good. And I do like Cafe, which is good. I like that one. Megan, how about you?
I was going to say what all two of you also said. I'll be correct. I've also watched TikToks of like best coffee shops in Kansas City, and people rate the different coffee shops. And I feel like that's always like a top contender. They have a very solid vanilla latte that I think is probably the best in the city, but I also love Blip Coffee. I've loved it for years, and it is in the West Bottoms, and it's like a neat like warehouse style setting and big enough to fit everyone, and so it's just fun.
I also want to mention, we went to it recently, and it's more like matcha and coffee, but I'm going to butcher this name, so I'm sorry. But Chambre, Chambre, we went there a couple weeks ago, and I loved those drinks so much, and they were really good, and I'm going to go back soon just to get the matcha because it was so good.
The matchas are really good.
They were so good.
Yes.
I've never even heard of them. So, oh my God, giving me
They're
the
in Westport.
scoop. Okay. Awesome. They must be.
They're in Westport. I think they're newer-ish, but they're so good.
That sounds amazing.
They might have started as like a coffee truck, and then they built their way up to like having like a brick and mortar in Westport, which is like right next to the Char Bar restaurant.
Yeah.
And so, but it's I agree with Jaimee. They're really good, and they're fun because they're really pretty.
That always
We love an
helps.
aesthetic drink.
Yes.
For sure. And you shouted out one of my favorites, Cafe. So many great shout outs. Thank you for those. So I'm curious to hear from all of you what you're going to do before your next session.
I think my goal is to continue to get outside. I think as it gets warmer, I am starting to try to walk in the afternoons after work. And it feels so good to get up and move.
Yeah.
I work from home sometimes, but I'm also in the office a lot, and just like sitting all day long, it's just so not good for you. So I encourage myself and other people that have desk jobs to get out and walk and just move your body, even if it's like 20 to 30 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be like 5 miles. I think people have this like idea in their head that they have to walk so much or, to make it worth it. And even just studies show like 20 minutes a day, like wherever you can fit it in, honestly, it does change your life over time.
Absolutely. Love that.
Between my sessions, besides walk group, I'm going to keep working on crocheting this blanket that I've started. That is a little bit of a bigger project than I thought it might be.
Yes.
So slow and steady wins the race on that one, and we'll just keep chugging and plugging through.
Oh my gosh, we're going to have to do a whole other episode on crochet. So amazing.
Well, the Jaimee just got started too. We're going to have to make a little crochet route.
Oh,
Grand
actually,
Casey Crochet Club sounds great.
I actually have one I'm working on. It's a little
cute.
heart.
I love it.
So I taught myself like a month ago. So it's still in the very beginning stages.
There's so many hobbies like in walk club, like people have been talking about the sewing, like people want to do cross stitch and needlepoint and crocheting.
Sewing is big right now.
Yes.
Well, I think there's was it needlepoint or cross stitch in Parkville that just opened, and it's like a whole store just dedicated to it. And I'm like, I really need to go there. It's brand new, but yeah.
Jaimee, what are you doing between sessions? Reading one of those books?
I know. I was probably going to say reading because I do love reading. And so I will be reading. I feel like I read all the time. If I'm working, I listen to audiobooks. I listen to audiobooks like you should be. Most people listen to music. And so I just always have an audiobook going. And actually, it helps me focus like music does to other people. And I just think that's interesting to me. But audiobooks, reading, teaching myself to crochet. And then when it gets warmer, I am going to start pushing my cats in strollers more often. I recently got, sorry, they said I need to move my creativity away from my cats, but I'm obsessed with my kitties.
As you should be. That's amazing.
And so I'll go on a trail with them. We have a trail behind our house and we just put them in the stroller and we can just walk. And as it gets warmer, I'm going to do that a lot more often. And hopefully we can go like a long time. So
that's
my
that.
mental.
That is so fun. I'm obsessed with that. Oh my gosh. Well, you are all up to some amazing things. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. I will definitely be linking all of the information for KC Walk Club in the show notes so that people can figure out how to join. And I just appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you walking.
The gals from KC Walk Club are literally the loveliest people. And I gotta say, this episode genuinely made me want to lace up my sneakers right now. What stuck with me most is something that I think Maggie mentioned, that it takes about 50 hours to build a real friendship. While that could sound discouraging, it's actually kind of freeing. It means you don't have to find your best friend on the very first walk. You just have to keep showing up. Your in-between sessions homework this week is to find one small recurring thing to put on your calendar that gets you outside and around other people, or honestly, just to look forward to. So that could be a formal walking club like KC Walk Club, it could be a more casual dog park meetup group, or just calling up a friend for a coffee walk. If you're in Kansas City, KC Walk Club meets every Saturday at 9 a.m., no RSVP required, no fee, all pace is welcome. Links to their social media are in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. Share this episode with a friend who could use a good reason to get outside, and leave us a review if you haven't yet. It really does help. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you next time in between sessions.